I was trying to get my lighting right too, Carol. I just.
Write it down. Okay. All right. Is it- Can you set? Can you tell if it's live?
It
Let-
says its media is now live streaming on custom live streaming service.
Okay, there you go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ari.
Thank you, Dr.
Welcome everyone to the Bible study that we're having right now in this series. We are so glad to have Reverend Dr. Trina Williams share her perspective on the chapter. I think it's intergenerational discipline. Nope, that's not it.
Truth.
Oh,
Truth.
truth,
Yeah.
truth. There we are. Yay! Sorry, I'm a little behind, but I'm gonna catch up right during the middle of this.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Thank you. So happy to have you during this particular Bible study. The last, the last uh, Wednesday in April, and you're going to be reviewing Truth,
Yes.
and it's from the book. You want to say? Go ahead and say.
Hey, wait. Hold on.
What matters most?
What matters most? 10 lessons.
Of living passionately from the Song of Solomon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
Thank you.
There you
I
go.
have the book in front of me. Can you allow me to share my screen?
I sure can.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Ari, you're going to
Yeah.
send that.
Okay. Hold on. Nope, that's not right. That's not what you want. Ish. Hold on.
No
Uh,
worries.
so, participants. Hold on just a second. I'm going to make you a co-host
Okay.
so that you can share your screen. You should be able to do it now.
Yes, I can. Thank you. All right. Well, welcome everyone. I just wanted to come and let me fix this share part first. Let me fix it. Hold on. Slideshow from the beginning. Okay. Yes, as Reverend Dr. Law says, I am Reverend Dr. Trina Williams. I am coming to you live from California, Oakland, California, and I had the honor of presenting to you the chapter from our book study on truth, what matters most. And before I start that, it's just interesting how, as I was preparing this slide, I have an app that I go to daily as a part of my devotional called The Language of Letting Go. And I would like to share with you first what came up for me this week in our um, devotional, daily devotional. Finding our own truth. We must each discover our own truth. It does not help us if those we love find their truth. They cannot give it to us. It does not help if someone we love knows a particular truth about our life. We must discover our truth for ourselves. We must each discover and stand in our own light. We often need to struggle, fail, and be confused and frustrated. That's how we break through our struggle. That's how we learn what is true and right for ourselves. We can share information with others. Others can tell us what may predictably happen if we pursue a particular course, but it will not mean anything until we integrate the message and it becomes our truth, our discovery, our knowledge. There's no easy way to break through and find our truth, but we can and will if we want to. We may want to take it to make it easier. We may nervously run to friends asking them to give us their truth or make our discovery easier. They cannot. Light will shed itself in its own time. Each of us has our own share of truth waiting to reveal itself to us. Each of us has our own share of light waiting for us to stand in it, to claim it as ours. Encouragement helps, support helps. A firm belief that each person has truth available, appropriate to each situation, is what will help. Each experience, each frustration, each situation has its own truth waiting to be revealed. Don't give up until you find it for yourself. We shall be guided into truth if we are seeking it. We are not alone. Today, I will search for my own truth and I will allow others to do the same. I will place value on my vision and that vision of others. We are each on this journey making our own discoveries, the ones that are right for us today. And I just thought that was completely profound as we talk about truth in the context of the Shulamite woman.
Was the author of that Melody Betty?
The author of this, I'm not
No.
sure. I got it from an app. So I
Okay.
got this from the app, The Language of Letting Go. And that's actually an app for those who are recovering in codependency.
Mhm.
And that is one of the struggles of my life and my history that I engage in. Um, but as we go to the book, the author says about truth to speak up for the pleasures of love and against the injustices of life itself is to speak up for everything that God loves and represents. And what I have done, I have gone through, the chapter. It was a really brilliant chapter, and we only have an hour. I mean, I was like, I could do this for longer than an hour, but um, just taking the nuggets, bringing to fore the nuggets. And if you have nuggets that you have found, let me know. I am sharing my screen, so I can't really see you right now. But if you just speak up and have something to say it. Let me know, and I will give you the floor because this is about us. It's interactive. But I found this is, to speak up for the pleasures of life and against injustices of life itself is to speak up for everything that God loves and represents. And I think that is just so profound, always and especially today. As we discuss the Shulamite woman in the Song of Solomon, Song of Songs, the wisdoms that I pulled these four wisdoms out of the writing. And the first one was, have you looked at your own prejudices against women with dark complexions, dark complexions? Have you examined your prejudices against women of the low end, on the low end of the economic totem pole? Have you come clean about the way we feel about women who tell it like it is? And have you confronted the stereotypes we have inherited from our society of passionate women who know what they want and throw modesty to the wind and go after it? Um, these four questions they were like jarring to me. I had to check my own self. What are my own um, prejudices against dark complected women? What was I taught? Um, how I examined my prejudices against women in the low end of the economic totem pole? How have I come to clean about what we feel about women who tell it like it is? Have I confronted the stereotypes that I have inherited from my society about women who throw caution to the wind and do their own thing? And I would like to know, as you look at these, would anyone like to speak up on any of these questions? Um,
Those are great questions, Reverend Dr. Trina. As you assessed yourself in
yes.
looking at these questions,
Mm,
how did you do it is one. And then
uh-huh.
I'm sure that there are people who are watching right now that has a scenario of they're just probably maybe thinking through the questions that you just
Yes.
asked.
Right.
How did you process it?
So I process. Excuse me. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I processed this very deeply. Growing up, I was the only black child mostly in most places. And so, like playing softball, I played softball. I was born in the 60s. Played softball. Softball was predominantly white at the time. And so I was always dark complected. I was always looked at as different. You know, whatever prejudices against. One of the things is, oh, she can run really fast, or she's a good athlete. I didn't know softball, but the assumption and the prejudice was that because I was a black woman, then I would be good and I'd be fast. It turned out that I trained, and so that became good and fast. But that was a part of that, and it was ingrained in me that light skin in my family, light skin was better. So this is a shift. Um, Light skinned children were treated better. I was darker. I'm not dark, but I was darker than my family, and a lot of my grandmother could pass for white. And there was a time when she came to pick me up at the doctor's office, and they'd assume she was a white woman, so they kept me in the back waiting for her, and she was in the front waiting for me, and she finally had to get up. And so my prejudice against myself is that as a darker woman, I have to be smart and resourceful and different things because nobody's really going to find me attractive enough to love me. So they have to love me for the things I do and not for the way I look. So that kind of encompasses, um, and I couldn't be poor. Um, I had to make sure that we were I was never poor. So whatever that meant, education was the key. You know, you have to get that because people who were dark women who are lower on the totem pole, they don't get taken care of. Nobody looks after them. They're lonely. My feelings about women who tell it like it is. I have a grandmother, or she passed, but she was considered a sapphire and a Jezebel because she told it like it was and she did what she wanted to do, throwing modesty to the wind. And so I have in my DNA, in my family tree, in my lived experience, both sides of this complex space. And that I think why it excites me because my mother's light skin, and I'm brown skin, and um, you know, they say we don't look alike because of the complexion of our skin. But if you look at us, we look very, very much alike. And then my daughter's light skin, and it's just these places. And where I am now is I don't give a crap. Call me Sapphire, call me Jezebel, call me whatever, because my truth is embedded in all of that, who I am.
So that is wonderful to hear how you got through those stereotypes, if you will. But
Mm-hmm.
as a part of your growing up,
Mm-hmm.
those might have, I'm going to use the word, impacted you greatly. Were you
Right.
able to process that over time, or as a result of what did that look like? Because you recognized some of those stereotypes that were either in your family or in society. How did you overcome it? Because it's great to say
Right.
it's crap, right? But a
Right.
lot of people are still dealing with some of those
Right.
stereotypes about being light skinned or dark skinned or overweight or
Right. Yeah, because I mean, people will say I'm overweight. That was another thing. The shape of my body, people from Africa recognize me from different tribes because I have big hips, small waist, and for a lot of that, that was a bad thing in the '60s in the United States to have hips. But what I found is I had to find a space to love myself, um, and by not loving myself, let's go back. I was self-destructive. I was racist upon myself. I was, driven to not be considered poor. The stereotypes were so overwhelming to me. I didn't even eat watermelon or fried chicken in front of people. Um, and so there's that space that comes finally when I just said, I can't, no, just say enough, enough. I have to love me. I'm the only one I have. I'm on the other side of 50. That helps too. I think it was in my 40s. I was like, no, this is the only life and body and imagination and everything that I have. And I can't do anything other than find me a community of women like the gathering, find communities of womanist communities. When I was in seminary, it was all about the white male. I had to search. I was blessed to be curious and say, what are the Black women saying? And asking these questions and being led through feminist theology to womanist theology. And I mean, I've been to rehab. I've been down. I've been down all the way. And so I'm on the upswing now. And so I think all of the pain and the struggle and the trials and saying, I can't do it anymore. I can't hold up this banner. I can't hold up this. It's going to crush me if I keep trying to hold it up. And like I said, I checked myself into rehab for several reasons, codependency, but basically it was lack of self love. And I think that time away was the time where I was able to be reborn.
And Dr. Trina, the lack of self-love, or the struggle with loving to love oneself
Mm-hmm.
is, I mean, when a person has been told all their lives in
Yes.
one way or another that
Yes.
you're not enough, that you're not good enough.
Right.
And the reason you're not good enough is because of something that you have no control over.
Yes.
How could a person not feel adversely towards themselves? You know,
Yeah.
um, And so the fact that you have been able to climb out of that pit of self abnegation, that pit of self-loathing and self-hatred,
Mm-hmm.
is a miracle, and it is amazing, and it speaks to your own strength and resilience, and deep down a belief that you are worthy.
Right. And I want to say that it took a village. It took
Yes.
remembering. It took remembering what my ancestors told me. It
Hmm.
also took a thing called clinical pastoral education,
Yes.
CPE. I'm a
Mhm.
certified educator, so I've taken probably 30 units of clinical pastoral education.
Mhm.
And that place of self awareness, people might think it's navel gazing, but I had to come to grips with my internalized racism. I had to come to grips with my internalized sexism, with all of the things. And there was always something, a tiny, tiny, small voice inside of me saying, keep going.
Good. Yeah,
The God
exactly.
voice. It was like, yes,
Continue.
I called you to this.
Hmm.
But there's no other women who are doing this, God. What's wrong with you? And then within that year, a woman would show up. One woman would show up. It was Joyce Meyer. You
Hmm.
know, whatever her theology is, it wasn't the point. God has says, look, wait. I say there's no woman, there's a woman.
Hmm.
You know, I say I can't do this. I'm a single parent going to seminary. God opens the door. I say I want to quit seminary because I don't like this church hierarchy garbage, and I'm going to go study psychology. God opened the door to clinical pastoral education.
Yeah.
And through clinical pastoral education, I had to dig in. You can't help somebody. The fallacy is that you can be a chaplain without taking care of your own business.
Yeah.
You can't
Hmm.
help nobody if you got issues. I mean, I have issues, but at least I'm aware of them.
Right.
And I can say, oh, yeah, I'm about to go rescue this person because I want to, not because I have to.
Hmm.
I'm going to
Not
rescue
because
'cause I,
your worth is tied to it.
right, right. Not because of anything else, because I just want to.
Yeah.
And I don't care what you say about it. Before I was rescuing because I needed to, and all of the things. And so I mean, clinical pastoral education is my jam. It is so I wish everybody could take it, to be aware of your biases, your own internalized thoughts and stuff, and all of these things. I mean, that's what helped me, it's and therapy and other things. So it wasn't like I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. Bullshit. Oops, sorry. That garbage. um, um, I had people, and I had to realize that I had people, you know. So yeah, honoring my family tree, honoring my grandmother who was a Jezebel, because I got Jezebel spirit in me too, or the sexual spirit, all of that stuff that was trying to be pushed down. Loving my body, loving my skin, loving my sexuality. It's a struggle. Today I love it a lot because I'm with y'all. You know, I've been thinking about it and I'm excited about it, and then when I don't, then I let it ride. It's like, okay, this too shall pass.
Well, the thing that I recognize in what you're saying is that you've been set free as
Yes.
a result of your own study, your own analysis, study through CPE, and then your own digesting it and applying it for yourself. Is that how you feel? That's what I interpret. You've been set free.
Yeah. Um, and I also, before I was able to get set free, I enslaved myself. That's the key. That internalized stuff, nobody has to tell me nothing. People tell me all the time how wonderful I am, how much I've helped them, how much I've supported them. And until I believed it, like, y'all is just whatever. Oh, give the glory to God or whatever. All of those things. And I had to kind of do some reprogramming and taking some things off. Trying to decolonize my mind is what I guess the biggest mission I'm on now. How to separate out the white supremacy, separate out. I tell people I'm a follower of Jesus because to say I'm a Christian, it doesn't sit right with me. So yes, I guess I'm a fighter. I'm a firstborn, basically only child, so I have a different temperament. Um, and
I do the same thing, Dr. Trina,
mhm,
talking about I'm a follower of Jesus rather than Christian. For the same reason, it just doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't feel right. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, so I ditto that.
yeah. Thank you. And so I mean, there's another. Let me see here. There it is. I was just thinking about.
Okay.
I was just thinking about this last, and this is what the author talks about: is the book's aim is to convince readers, both male and female, or non-binary. I added that because it wasn't there when she wrote it, so no shame, no shade. Um, to recognize themselves in the dark-skinned maiden. It doesn't say white, Chinese, only black people. It says both male and female to recognize themselves in the dark skinned maiden. And as an educator, a lot of my students are white. And when I talk about liberation, they're like, "Oh, I'm not." Yeah, you're oppressed as well. You're oppressed by the white supremacist society that makes you think and act and do things that you don't even know about. And so, recognition of finding themselves in the dark skinned woman. I mean, once we can identify those spaces for ourselves, whatever color we are, then that'll actually bring us together. We have to identify with her desire to be understood, appreciated for her own worth, and to confront their own prejudices, our own prejudices. To be willing to confront our own prejudices, even of ourselves. When I have students who are 50-year-old white white women. I was working in the Midwest. They couldn't get angry. Getting angry was not proper. The oppression of the self, of any parts of ourselves. That's what I see in the dark-skinned woman. That's why I put this mirror up, because we all have to look in this mirror and see how we relate to her, whether we're whatever. There is a connection because we have feelings. We all have something that is attacking our self-worth. We all have prejudices. And to look at them without, beating yourself up, attacking yourself, but this is how I was created in the world. Again, trying to parse out who I was before when God said, "Let there be Trina," in the cosmos, even before I was in my mother's womb, to how the world has bumped up against me and made me into this other thing, and can I get back closer to how God sees me, is a part of this recognition piece. We all feel sadness, pain, fear, anxiety. We all feel it. And that is why I love CPE, because that's my focus when I teach. Our commonalities. How do you all recognize yourself in the dark skinned maiden in this chapter? You know, something for you to think about. If you thought about it, maybe I'd love to hear about it.
Well, one of the things that I was just thinking is that everyone doesn't get the opportunity to do CPE. Like you
Exactly.
said, had 30 units
So,
in it,
yes, 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 yes.
which obviously is a blessing and helped for you.
Right.
What do you recommend for people who look in the mirror and are assessing how they could free themselves and they don't have the opportunity to do CPE? What would you recommend? Is there a book you would recommend? A a process that you would recommend to
Wow.
help move them closer to being free?
Ouch. Okay. A couple of things are happening. So, yes, because my one of my things is I'm trying to take CPE into churches in a different context. So I'm trying to get the core into, the world. It doesn't have to be churches, but so we'll have to obviously write a book on that. So thank you, I think, for that. Uh, uh, and one of my books that I use in um, my CPE is a book called Recalling Our Stories by Edward Wimberly. And it talks about the myths that we buy into. So it's a starting point to the myths of the good girl, the myth of perfection, the myth of soul sufficiency, the myth of unlovability, the myth of deferred joy. There's so many different myths that come into communities in the Christian communities, and some of the Jewish communities as well. Um, and so that's the place to start. And to also find a community. You can't do this on your own. This is not a thing that I sat in the corner and read a book and was like, I got the self help. I mean, that's good and all. But for me, all the books I read by myself, um, I didn't hold on to it. It wasn't. It was just knowledge. I didn't have anyone to talk to about it or engage about it. And so finding a group, that you could trust, um, and they're more coming up. They're more popping up, and yeah, Reverend Laws. I guess I gotta write that book. I've been writing other books, but I guess that's
Just add one more. Just add
yeah.
one more.
Thanks.
Well, one of the things you talked about, how did I see myself, let's say, in the mirror and dealing with some of the stereotypes. One of the things that I did was I found a group of friends, a
Yeah.
group of people, actually at multiple stages of my life,
Right.
that uh, affirmed me, and I believed them.
Yeah. Yes.
Because
Yes.
sometimes you don't believe them. You're right. They're just blowing
Right.
air
Yeah.
from
Hmm.
one ear to the other.
Yeah.
But one of the things in terms of what I was dealing with, it allowed me the opportunity to bond at I'm going to call it a fundamental level, based on what we were going through, whether or not it was college or
Right.
my first job, seminary. There's
Yes.
different phases in life that I found you could find somebody, obviously with intention, to
Yes.
connect with on those levels. And if
Yeah.
they became naysayers or not believers, they
Right.
showed who their true color was, because they flipped to change. They, like they were a snake and you didn't know it until something happened.
Right.
Then I dropped them like they were a hot potato.
Right.
But the followers, the
Mm.
supporters, the encouragers, I was I supported them too, because that's naturally who I am, a nurturer.
Yeah.
So once you like investigate who they say they are, then you have to do, like, I think it's Maya Angelou say, believe them, and
But,
then determine next steps. Go ahead.
yes, ma'am. Carol, are you there?
I am.
So, have you read this chapter or read this book?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so how do you recognize yourself in the dark-skinned maiden?
Well, I find myself discounted because I'm 81 years old. I'm an old lady,
Come
and
on.
people will not uh, think about that. You know what you need to do.
Mm,
I found the best support and reaffirmation. I've been auditing courses at seminary, uh,
yeah.
and I've been getting a reaffirmation from people who give me good grades in my classes.
That's true. To be invisible, I think I was watching Matlock, the new one with the misery lady. Anyway, and she said older women are invisible. They don't have passions anymore. They're supposed to not want to be sexual. As a chaplain, I've worked in nursing homes, and that's not true. I had to take some condoms to some people and be like, "Look, I know you want to do this, but you got to take care of yourself, okay?" Um, and that's just sad. That's the connection. How do we recognize ourselves in this dark skinned maiden who can be overlooked?
Well, I'm going to pause for a second and throw out a commercial.
Okay.
You are, you are, if you have joined online right now, you are part of the book review the chapter review of the book, What Matters Most. And we're on the truth chapter, if you will. If you have any questions, whether or not it be on Facebook or YouTube, please type it in the chat. I've got my phone here and my iPad over there, so I'm looking at both of them. So if you have any questions that you want Reverend Dr. Trina Williams to address, or if you've got a statement that you want to share, I can read it out to everybody to the universe.
Thank you.
So that's the commercial. All right,
Okay.
Dr. Trina.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So, the author asks, "What is your passion?" And she says, "Passion is more than sex and romance. You know, it is those things and more. So let's not throw them out. But it is about the life energy that inner flame with which you approach life as a whole. And so, um, I think within my experience, passion was about sex and romance. I love love. I want to be love. I want to be in love. I love it. Um, but I did a disappearing act. I think there's a movie about that. And it's like I I focused my passion so much on sex and romance that I did not, and I took it away from the life flame, that inner life flame that was a part of my whole being. And so sometimes I find we have a dualistic understanding of things. It's either this or that. And so I love this, that what the author said is passion can be, it's sex, romance, and the life energy, the inner flame with which we approach life as a whole. And a part of my journey is finding that inner flame and that connecting back to that life energy. And I had to do that. I had to connect back to who I am and to my African roots, my African American roots, first of all, and then my African roots, and bringing in all the parts of myself and loving them, not judging them, you know, um, looking at myself, seeing myself in my ancestors, seeing bits and pieces of myself in my ancestors, and then making it a whole thing instead of this or that. Don't be like her, she's rowdy. Well, I want to be like her because she's rowdy, and I want to be like you because you're, calm minded, you know. So that's how I'm feeling about passion. Does anybody else have any thoughts in the chat anywhere about passion? Because people often ask, "What's your passion?" I
Mm,
don't think it's a thing. I think it is.
yeah. When you started talking, I thought of that Howard Thurman quote. Um, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go
Right,
and do it. Because
right.
what the world needs is people who have come alive.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And
yes.
that's when I think about passion. It's like, what makes you come alive? What makes, for me, I always say, what makes you feel like you can fly?
Yeah, yeah,
Because I notice within myself, when I have this, it's like joy when I'm experiencing whatever that is, right?
right,
But I know I feel like I can fly. It's, you know,
right.
um, and so and discovering, and that means like paying attention to yourself.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, definitely. You have to. It's your
Yeah.
passion. It's inside. It's the inner
Right,
flame.
right.
And what gives me passion, sometimes the world don't want to see it from me.
Hmm.
My passion growing up in the church, I mean, when Reverend Dr. Laws was talking about her communities, I didn't know people didn't go to church. I was 35 years old before I realized that people didn't go to church every week, that there were some people who didn't go to church.
Hmm.
And I was in seminary and I met a man, he's like, I'd never been to church. I'm like, how did you get to seminary?
Because it has to be connected to the church, right?
Right. And so that was my another breaking open of my own biases and prejudices. But when I think about when God said, I want you to be a pastoral preacher, it wasn't those words, but the vision that I got is a pastor who does pastoral care and preaches. Um, and I was like, I don't see nobody like that. I didn't know anybody who did that, especially a female. But that was my inner flame. So we have to be careful because I did what I was supposed to do. I went to my pastor and he said, "Oh, no, no, not here." And I'm like, "What? God didn't know I had titties?" Okay. Okay. Um, so that's a part of it. And so now it's coming back. So I had to lose it. I didn't lose my passion. I put it to sleep. I hid it. I didn't know what to do with it. And now is the time for things are coming back around. And I love teaching. I love transformational work, helping to transform souls and minds and hearts and bodies is my life passion. And I'm not going to let it go again. I did it before.
So based on what you're saying and what Dr. Irie's saying, uh, in terms of finding your passion, it's more so about when you get involved with something that you love and something that you I don't want to use the word passionate. I don't want to say something you're passionate about, but in
I
terms of go ahead, go ahead.
I think that the what I feel was planted in me. theologically when God created me. And it has taken time for the world to kind of catch up. I believe that when God created me, God wanted me, they wanted me to do this work. But at the time I was born, there was nobody like me, not even white women who were doing the work that I'm doing. And so it's a staying power. It's something that has never gone away. You know, it's deep. It's the life energy. That's why it's it's not something that, oh, I'm passionate about this today and I'm passionate about this person today and I'm passionate about a whole other person tomorrow. It is that staying power, um, and being patient. Um,
And a lot of times it comes over time because you may have suppressed it when you were younger.
yes, and that's what I'm saying. You suppress it, it comes back. You suppress it, it comes back. You suppress it, it comes back. And over time, I mean, like I said, God is no respecter of time. So God said, let something be, and the world hasn't caught up to it yet. That's not God's fault, But I'm learning how to be, um, how not to give up. Because I've given up. Well, no, I've given up, but I know that that's okay. It's okay to give up as long as you are still open to the possibilities and still can hear.
Well, I kind of liken it to the fact that there is a fire inside. It may smolder, but it really never goes out, right?
Never,
And
it
and
never.
and so even though you may quit,
Right.
your terminology, the
Yeah.
the fire, the embers are still hot,
Yes.
and it may take uh, in the olden days, it may take that stick, that poking stick, to get it to flame up again. And, and again, it sometimes it deals with your environment, but
Yes.
also deals with the what's happening internally inside you.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think of that?
I think that's a powerful statement because it makes me think about the fact that I built my ladder. I put my ladder and climbed the ladder of success and got to the top of where I thought I was passionate about and thought I was supposed to be. And I got up to the top of the roof, and all I want to do is jump off. It's like, this is not it. And so I was like, I did all this stuff I thought I needed to do. I have these degrees. I have this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. What is it that I'm still empty?
I think that notion of what I'm supposed to be,
Yes, ma'am.
that's a trap.
Yes,
That's
a
a
trap
trap.
is a trap. It
Uh,
is. It
you
is.
know, this is, and we say that, I hear people saying that all the time. I want to know what I'm supposed to be doing. I want to know, was I supposed to? That's a trap. It
Right.
is a trap. And we've
Yeah.
got to get rid of that
Right.
because, it is what are you, because there are many number of things in my own personal life, in my own, career trajectory.
Yeah.
I've been in banking, I've been in nonprofit, I've been, and so and now I'm in ministry and have been full
Yeah.
time for the longest. So
Hmm.
was I not supposed to do those other things? Was that a waste? No, it all
No.
builds
No.
on top of each other. And so if we could get rid of the notion of what am I supposed to be doing, I
Right.
think that could take a lot of pressure off of us. Um,
Right.
because
Right.
that's supposed to be peace, then that also invites us to comparisons,
The
right?
comparisons. Yeah.
Invite compare ourselves to other people, right?
Right.
Who may be doing what we think we're supposed to be doing, but we're not.
Are
So
we?
now we beat ourselves up. Now we feel guilty. Now we feel less than. It's a trap.
It's a whole trap, and there's systems in those traps, and the depth of the trap. What I found out from the messages that I was getting from my ancestors, my grandparents, whose parents were sharecroppers, and it was all about safety and protection. You
Mm-hmm.
do this, you'll be safe. You
Yes.
make this amount of money, you'll be safe. Get a government job, you'll be safe. Do this, you'll be safe. Get the education, and it was all about safety and protection.
Yeah.
And so I was moving in those spaces, which some people may have still. And there's nothing wrong with moving in those spaces. I gained everything and I learned, I keep all of that. It's
Mm-hmm.
just when the rubber met the road and I was supposed to have arrived, I was like, I'm on the wrong bus stop. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got off on the wrong stop, you know, and I didn't throw away all of that. I started to deal with the systems that were informing me.
Mm-hmm.
There's the lean method of management. It's Japanese, I think that Toyota, but the basis is that if something's not working, change the system, not the person. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't fold enough shirts on the assembly line, don't get another person. Change the system to make it easier for that person to do their job.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at the systems that were informing me: white supremacy, colonialism,
Mm-hmm.
Christianity, capitalism,
Yes.
you know, Americanism. I went to live in Australia for 6 months. That was helpful. Everybody can't do that. So maybe I do have to write that book and help that process because I learned a lot there. And I was blessed to be able to go outside the United States and look in, you know,
Outside of the United States and look in. What
because,
look
go ahead,
look in yourself or look in to see what is the United States all about?
both. Because
Okay.
I had to, because I went there as an African American woman, proud African American woman, black is beautiful, all that stuff. The Australians were like, "Were you born in Africa?" I'm like, "No." "Then you're an American." "Oh,
Mm.
no, you can't take away from, you know,
Uh-huh.
they're like, "We don't see you that way. We don't see you as less than. We don't see you as chattel slave. We don't see you as none of that. We see you as as an American woman who has degrees, who was our professor. Girl, bye." You know, we ain't buying. You ain't oppressed. We ain't oppressing you. And then the Aboriginal woman who saw my
Ah.
shirt that said, "Black is beautiful," she said, "Thank you, sister, for supporting us." But
Us.
neither was I African American, nor was I Black.
Mm.
So in Australia, I was Trina. I was Reverend
Mm.
Dr. Trina Williams,
Mm-hmm.
period, expert in CPE.
Wow.
The police didn't look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a man
Mm-hmm.
who obviously Asian who had an Australian accent was like, "Hey, how are you? Let's go out." I'm like, "What?" So that helped me to start looking both in, outside of myself. Who am I outside of my skin? And I love my skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I love, okay, so America's a rat race. America's highly capitalistic. You know, I'm not gonna throw my money away, and I'm not gonna get, I'm not gonna go live off the grid. But
Mm-hmm.
seeing another culture that had a slower pace of life, that was also capitalistic to a certain extent, but big pharma wasn't there.
Yeah.
So that I wish everybody could go out of the United States. Like it should be like a high school requirement before you graduate. You have to go out of the United States for 6 months. I mean, that's the funding that because people all over the world do it. Students, people in Europe go all over. They travel. And so they're just things that that maybe I will champion. But that was a part of my awakening of who I am outside of this body and then coming back into my body and returning to the United States with myself and trying and being purposeful about resisting the systems that I want to resist.
Yeah.
So,
So just to share with y'all, ministry partner Alex Rohn said systems in those traps.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Because we don't see the systems. It's like we're a fish in water. We don't see the water. We're born into them. We are, and so to be aware, and self-awareness is looking in that mirror. And it help, we have to do it in a community. I mean, what I take from, the follower of Jesusness is he was in community.
Yep.
Grab you 12 folk and, try to figure it out. That's your
And it's so
family,
interesting.
you know, family of choice.
Yeah, it's so interesting when you think about Jesus was in community, like almost as soon as of course, there are many years of his life that we don't see, right?
Yes,
That we don't read about. So there's like from, the time he was a little boy and then he turned 30, like what happened to all
right.
that? What was happening in there? But
Right.
from the time that he's an adult and we are exposed to him, he immediately builds a community.
Immediately.
Like waste no time.
Now, hey, you come on, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, that was his first objective.
Yes.
I got to get me some people.
I
I got to
gotta
get
get
some
some
people
people.
around.
And all skin folk ain't kin folk. So I mean, I learned that lesson.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I learned it, and it's okay because everybody's people are people, you know. Mm. But
Candace Allen Staton agrees with you. She says, family of choice.
yes, ma'am. Oh, yes. I have so many children because my daughter has so many siblings that she found. It's like, okay, all right. I think it was cute before. I think now she's like, stop that. You're my mama. So,
Yeah. Tomorrow I leave to take a group of women on what I call a sisterhood retreat. And this is our third year. And this year, my daughter is going. And my
oh,
daughter sees these women that we're going with, all of them as her aunties.
aunties.
I'm
Yes.
so excited for India to
Oh,
spend 4 days with women that she's heard me talk about,
yeah.
some she's met,
Yeah.
most she's not met, but she considers them, and I know they consider her in the same
Yes.
way. And so I'm just looking forward to her experiencing that.
Yes, ma'am.
So
And
that's when you talk about family of choice. Yeah.
right. And how can I be down for next year? I'm just
Hey,
putting the
you
plug
can be down, girl. You can be down.
I don't know how where we are in our time, but you know,
But you got a little while longer. Go ahead.
okay. Okay. So, reflections on the truth. At the heart of the chapter is this line. Coming to grips with the fact that there will be lots of people who will not like you for speaking the truth is a hard reality for women
Yes,
to face. For
that was a
me
fact.
Yes.
personally,
But
yes,
once you face it,
facts.
it
Right.
is hard. But once you face it, and
Right.
once you realize
Yes, ma'am.
this is who I
Huh.
am the one who will speak truth, who will
Yes.
be scared.
Yes.
Once you then you're good to go.
Right. And it's that leap of faith,
Yeah.
like that's that first step is a doozy, um, because I can't go back. It's once I was so silenced, so worried about I mean, that's where my anxiety came from, y'all. I was fully anxious, just worried about trying to think 3 steps ahead of this and that, and, we talk about those are some things of children of addicts, there's so much information that is out there that help to define why we do what we do. And then once we say that, we can change. You can't change it if you don't know what it is.
Right.
You know,
Gotta
if you don't,
face it to fix it.
amen, amen. And so, as women, as me, now I'm to a point where I gives a damn. I don't
Hmm.
give a damn.
Yep.
And this and that and the other. But you know what? The more authentic I am, and I think Dr. Danny said this about Jeremiah Wright, the
Yeah,
more authentic I am, the more people want to be around me now
that is the fact.
because they know what they're getting. They
Yeah.
have, look, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna do this. You know, I'm gonna say something. Okay. And they're like, okay, here, or they say, Dr. Trina, just wait. We know you're gonna say something, but, and that's cool with me. Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
So you got 2 minutes. Go ahead and help
so
us. Tell us what you want to leave us with.
okay. I think I want to leave you with this. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. I want to leave you with
Mm,
this self awareness. The Shulamite woman is the woman who knows that no matter how much you say you don't care, you do care.
Yes.
You care deeply. And that you've been branded by others and left feeling isolated for your choices. And I think vulnerability. So, my theories when I teach, I use vision, voice, and vulnerability. Vulnerability is that place that says, I do care. You are hurting me.
yes.
To be able to say that that hurt me. First time I told somebody that what you said hurt me,
Mm-hmm.
then they were like, oh, we didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to hurt you. I understand all that. And what you said hurt me.
Yeah.
And I'm hurt. And that's okay. Just let me be hurt. Don't try to fix me. But understand next time you say something like that.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, "Oh, I'm tough and rough," what was it? I'm rough and tough with my Afro puffs. Hey, I'm a hip hop head. But no, I say no. That hurt.
Yep.
I take off my armor to a certain extent. I put it on so you don't pierce me. But I'm like, yo, that bullet was going to my heart.
Yeah.
That arrow hurt. And people are like, what? And I think as African American women in my history, they don't say that. I got this. This don't bother me. Oh, I don't got it. I don't
Mm,
got it. I have pain. I hurt. And once that happens, people can see me as human instead of
yeah.
some kind of robot or some kind of mammy that you can just pour stuff on and I'll just say, okay, let's go on. No, my truth is that I hurt.
Yeah. Brittany Johnson in the chat on Facebook, she asked the question about this Lorraine Hansberry quote. She
Yes,
says,
ma'am.
where is the link? Where is it from?
That is from A Raisin in the Sun. Is that it? Wait.
Ah,
No, okay. Because she's a playwright
right.
who she died early. And I got this out of the book. But if you look up Lorraine Hansberry, I think to be young, black, and talented, I think maybe. But yes, everything eventually it comes to you. That which makes you exceptional, if you are at all, and that should be at all, is what makes you lonely. And
Yeah.
that's the part for me that stuck. That's why I brought this in because I don't get to play with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get to be in all of the circles. I don't, my exceptionality separates me because I'm thinking in these ways. So, I mean, who do you know that? I mean, just from right now, I'm thinking in multi systems, I'm thinking this and this, and I'm happy and I'm alone. I'm alone sometimes. For Christmas, I was in Kalamazoo, Michigan. All my family's in California. My daughter says, "Are you lonely?" I said, "No, I'm alone, but I'm not lonely."
Right. Mm-hmm.
But when you step
Amen.
deeply into your truth, there will be times when you will be lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a natural thing. We need to stop avoiding loneliness, avoiding anger, avoiding pain, avoiding it. It's a part of our lives. And there's questions. So well-behaved women rarely change the world. We must decide today whether we will choose our path based on our own dreams for ourselves or based on what others think is best for the best path for us. Period, point blank. You have to decide. And once you decide, there will be consequences.
I was looking for that Lorraine Hansberry quote
Uh-huh.
to on Brittany. Apparently, it came from a journal entry
Okay.
on May 1st, 1962.
Oh, May 1st is tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh,
Lorraine Hansberry, she died young.
mhm.
And her legacy of the the snippet of her life that we got still rolls on. Still rolls on.
Well,
Still.
I want to thank you, Reverend Dr. Trina Williams, for leading
Thank
us
you.
through this Womanist Bible exploration of Dr. Anita
Pleasure.
Williams' book, one of my favorite of her books, What Matters Most, 10 Lessons on Living Passionately from the Song of Solomon. And we appreciate your focus on the chapter on truth. Um,
Yes.
Thank you so, so much. And thank all of you who joined us. I see that we do have some people that have joined us for the first time. And so we appreciate that. Thank you all so much.
Thank you
Thank you,
all.
Dr. Trina.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Bless you all. Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe.